podcast where best friends and next-door neighbors, Willow and Lillian, spill the tea on murder, mysteries, and other things that go bump in the night. So get your favorite teacup ready, and let's get into it. Welcome to Cruelty Podcast. This is Lillian, and with me is Willow.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Y'all. I'm pumped.
Are you?
Yes.
About what?
We are at 99 patrons.
I forgot. Okay, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
And y'all, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to make this short so we can get to the case, and then we'll talk about it after. But when we made this podcast, I did it because I've always wanted, I'm good at talking and telling stories. So is Willow, and we're friends. We're always talking about this shit anyway. It just seemed fun.
Yeah, and we used to be tour guides, and it was like at the end of the pandemic, but you can't be a tour guide during the pandemic.
No, the pandemic's still going, by the way. They can say it's over, but it ain't. Anyhow, that's sad, so I don't want to talk about that. I never thought in a million years we would have this many patrons.
Right.
And so I'm just blown away, and I'm like busting at the seams. So I had to like talk about it briefly to get it out of my system because, we're talking about somber things. I don't want to be like, hoo, 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 because that's rude.
This case is pretty heartbreaking, so we might as well get it out of the way.
So here's some sugar to make the medicine go down.
Yes.
And as you know, this is Caught on Camera month, and this is a Caught on Camera case.
Yes.
And it is Willow's, and I do not know what it's about.
You weren't going to finish the 99...
Oh, no, that's business time.
Oh, you were just going to mention it.
You're so
cute. You're just...
Fuck off. No, I'm appropriately chuffed, as the Brits say.
Is that...
Chuffed is good.
Oh, chuffed sounds like chafed.
Chuffed sounds like I am sticky, moist, and uncomfortable in my underpants.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But it's not.
My
it
butt
means
doesn't feel right.
I'm jazzed.
Oh, like the kids say, "Let's go," and they don't go anywhere.
Do they?
No. The kids say, "Let's go," and they don't go anywhere. It means yay. It means like woo.
What?
Let's go. Yay.
I'm too old.
Fucking hate it. I hate it. My teenager says it, and it's annoying.
No cap, as the kids would say? No cap.
No cap.
What the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, let's move along.
So it's Caught on Camera month, and this whole case was literally caught on camera. Thank goodness for New Zealand's security and surveillance systems, which are incredible. Like 360 cameras, state of the art. You can follow them throughout their entire trip there. Like it's incredible. And also the detective work on this case is spot on. Absolutely amazing. I think it was solved in like a handful of days.
Wow,
just
amazing.
Really, really good work.
Not like here.
Right.
Nope.
Right. And yeah, without CCTV, without surveillance, I'm not sure that this case would have been solved. So yeah, really happy for that. So trigger warnings for this case are sexual assault, sexual violence, mention of domestic violence, mention of postmortem abuse of a corpse, and victim blaming is just atrocious in this case. So we're going to get mad about that later. But this is the tragic story of Grace Millane. She was born Grace Emmy Rose Millane on December 2nd, 1996 in Wickford, Essex, England. She had two older brothers, Michael and Declan, and two loving parents, David and Gillian. Her father was a property manager or property developer and made a lot of money doing so. They were really well off. And his two sons were from a previous marriage, and Grace was David and I think it's Gillian, or is it Jillian? It's with a G.
It could be either, but it's probably Jillian.
Okay. Her name was never like actually said in any of the things. It was just written, so I didn't know exactly how she pronounced it. But Grace was their only child together, and with the two older brothers, she was just the adored baby of the family. Like she was their baby girl, and she was really celebrated as that growing up. She was absolutely adored by her family. Their lives were really full and rich, and they did everything together. They were really close and really caring for each other, and Grace was a very lovely girl. She was known to be very bubbly and kind and protective of people she cared about. She loved photography, painting, and traveling and meeting new people everywhere she went. She made tons of friends, like literally anywhere she went. It's actually really interesting to see all of the pictures of her, because most of these pictures are taken by other people, and she's meeting big crowds of people everywhere she goes, and it's just beautiful smiles everywhere. It's just amazing. She, growing up next to her two older brothers, she played a lot of sports, and especially hockey. And she would even grow up to teach hockey to younger children once she got really good at it. So she was always that type of person that if she saw you, needing help or anything like that, she was always quick to help out anyone who needed it. She was extremely adventurous and outgoing, very bright, very responsible, intelligent, and determined. In 2017, Grace earned her degree from the University of Lincoln in marketing and advertising. She had grown her hair long all through college, and as a final hurrah, she cut her hair and donated to a company that makes wigs for sick children. And I just think that sentence in and of itself just shows you the type of person that she was, because that was her whole goal through all of college. Growing her hair out, like that was the end goal, was to cut it off and donate it. And I just think that's precious. And then she wanted to go out and see the world. She wanted to spend a year experiencing other countries, experiencing other cultures and landscapes. And they call this the gap year. I think because we are just so fucking American. We don't have gap years.
What's that, a break? No.
Yeah. No.
Rise and grind forever.
Yeah, we don't have that in America, but apparently a gap year in between college and going into the workforce is very normalized.
Oh, that
and
sounds
I think that's
lovely.
Really, really great. Kind of get your nose out of the book, and you can
live life a little bit before you try and settle down into the routines and get some experiences.
Yeah.
Here it's not. No, you and me. You were probably working as you're in school.
Yeah.
And you don't stop until they put you in the dirt.
Yeah.
Yay! Love that.
Hate capitalism. So Grace at this point is now 21 years old. She begins her world tour on October 26, 2018, on my 28th birthday. She starts by heading out to South America, where she spends 6 weeks traveling around various countries and landscapes. She explores Chile, Patagonia, and Peru. She saw Machu Picchu and other ancient ruins. She became friends with some alpaca. She met tons of people and had a beautiful time and took tons of pictures. After South America, she went to New Zealand, and I didn't know this about New Zealand. I guess I never really looked at a map of New Zealand, but first of all, I didn't know that it was two large islands.
Yeah.
And it's surrounded by all these really small islands, like all around it. There are over 600 offshore islands in New Zealand.
It's cool as shit.
Fucking beautiful.
New Zealand is no joke. Maybe the most beautiful place on earth.
I really do think
it's right up there. Other than like Peru, which we discussed earlier, is like my favorite country in the world.
I think we always talk before we get on the mic.
Yes.
And we just kind of catch up. And it was interesting because like unprompted before we even started recording, you mentioned so many things that were in this episode. I just find that really
It's like
eerie.
I'm psychic.
It's weird. So Grace ended up backpacking all over the North Main Island and a bunch of the smaller islands. She stayed at hostels and partied with locals and fellow backpackers, having the absolute time of her life. Grace was all over social media. I mean, obviously she's a young person, but especially on Tinder while traveling, mostly because it's based on vicinity. Tinder, I'm assuming most people know, but it is a dating website or a dating app that locates people by vicinity. And so I think this is really useful while traveling, and that's kind of what she used it for, was to meet up with locals, find out about events coming up or what to do in town while she's there. And she was really smart about it, and she ended up going on a lot of dates and having a lot of doing a lot of fun activities with new people. And a lot of people will victim blame, slut shame for her doing this, will say, well, she was just sleeping with everybody across during her trip. No, it's hard for me to even say those accusations out loud, because that's just not Grace, and it doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if she slept with every single person she met off Tinder. It doesn't matter if she slept with them, their best friend, their dad, and
run a train. It just don't fucking matter.
None of that matters.
Consenting adults doing consenting adult things is perfectly okay.
Yeah.
No slut shaming here.
And sex is healthy for you. So
yeah, it's good. If you're
people
safe,
need to chill out about it.
If you're safe with your sex, it's actually healthy for your genitalia.
And your brain.
It's good.
Right. But I don't think that she was having sex with all of her Tinder dates, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Who cares?
Who cares? But I will say that the news reports and people talking about her online, it was really gross. About that specifically, meeting people on Tinder.
Just shut up, everyone. God.
This case was really hard to research just by the mean things that they said about her. And I just don't see how you could say anything negative about this beautiful and wonderful woman. So on December 1st, 2018, the day before her birthday, in celebration of her 22nd birthday, she goes on a date with a 26-year-old man named Jesse Kempson that she met on Tinder from Auckland. They meet up at Skycity, which is a part of a huge skyscraper called Sky Tower, which is really interesting. Like, this skyscraper is a really cool building. It was built in the 90s, and it's very similar to the Space Needle in Seattle.
Oh, cool. Yeah, all right.
It has restaurants, lots of restaurants, lots of bars, a casino, live entertainment. It has a hotel or two. It has shopping. It has lots of other businesses, including a sky jumping station, like a skydiving station where you can jump off the top of the building. It looks really fun, and it looks like a really exciting place to visit. Tons of nightlife and interesting architecture and design. It looks like a cool place to be. And so, yeah, it would have been really extremely exciting for Grace to spend her 22nd birthday there. One of the coolest places on the planet with a guy that she really seemed to click with. Yeah.
A cute date. And
she
you've got
had a lot of fun.
A new place you haven't been, and then all these bars and restaurants.
Right, and he's a local, so he can tell you all about the cool stuff that you can experience.
That sounds fucking rad. I'd go on that date.
Right?
Yeah.
So throughout the night, they went to a few bars inside various restaurants where they would drink and get to know each other a little bit better. They ended up having dinner at a nice restaurant where they sat out in an open air patio, kind of taking in the fresh air and the scenery. Grace was texting her friends and family all night, which she had been doing this the entire trip. It was almost to a annoying part, almost an annoying degree that they were like, okay, you are on vacation, put your phone down. But no, she was taking pictures everywhere she went. She was telling everybody everything she was doing, and she was excited. And she told them all about this really cute guy that she met and how they were really getting along well. He even lived in a really nice hotel right up the road. He flaunted his prestige. He definitely came from money. She excitedly told them about how they'd talked about him going up to Essex and meeting everyone, eventually. And she said that they really clicked and that the night was really going well. She told her friends that she would update them in the morning, but she never did.
No, damn it.
The next day was her birthday, and her phone rang off the hook, and phone calls, updates, notifications about messages. Everybody was trying to wish Grace a happy birthday, but there was no answer. Friends thought this must be a sign that she had a good night, which would usually be the case for me, because I'm really bad about having a phone. But
It wasn't like her.
No.
Yeah.
And they thought that, I mean, at first, you have to think about all the other innocent possibilities that could have happened. She could have lost her phone in the water. She could have, left her phone at the hotel or something.
Taken their advice and just kind of put it on Do Not Disturb.
Yeah, and had a birthday.
Yeah.
But by later that night, when she didn't call her parents...
Yeah.
And there was still no sign of her, no activity on her social media accounts, no calls, no text backs, which never happens. Her parents checked in at the hostel that she was staying at, and Grace never returned after her date on Saturday night. The backpacker friends that she had met along the way knew Grace well enough at this point that she always came back. They asked around, and more people who had known her hadn't heard from her, hadn't seen her. The more everybody got concerned. So they contacted the police, filed missing persons report, and before the investigators could really get an idea of what happened, they noticed, just walking from the car, inside, that there were already flyers up. The backpackers from the hostel had already printed out flyers.
Wow. That's amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean, it just shows you how much people cared about her.
Exactly.
Yeah. Investigators hoped that this was another missing person who had, just partied over the weekend and maybe they'll show up on Monday. But when Monday came and went with no sign of Grace, it solidified their fears that something bad had happened to her. By December 4th, 3 days after she went missing, the media found out about Grace's story, and all over New Zealand and back home in Essex, Grace's image was everywhere. News teams were gripping onto the story of the quote-unquote backpacker from Essex vanishing in New Zealand. It was big headlines at the time, and people saw her face everywhere. Detectives first looked into Grace's background to see where she was staying and kind of trace her steps from there. They know she's a British backpacker, so they check hostels and find that she's staying at a place called Base Backpackers in Auckland. From there, they were able to figure out her movements that night. Checking the CCTV footage all along the way, they see her leave Base Backpackers, heading up to Skycity Hotel, where she waits in the lobby. It shows her taking a picture of the Christmas tree in the lobby and sending it to her parents. And that was the last message that she sent them at 5:45 p.m. Her date comes up right around that time. He comes into frame, and actually, right as he comes into frame, you can tell he sees Grace. He actually hesitates for a second. He turns around and almost walks away, but then he realizes, oh wait, she saw me. He turns back around, he walks up to Grace and gives her a hug. And then the two go up into the building. They take the escalator up, and so while investigators are sifting through hours of CCTV footage, they're having to watch frame by frame and have multiple eyes on frame by frame. They also start checking her social media accounts for clues on recent photos and things that she has posted. The last person to comment on her profile photo was a man by the name of Jesse, who said, quote, "beautiful, very radiant," and then added an upside down emoji, which... to me, I use that as like a sarcastic kind of shrug.
Yeah, I use the upside down smiling emoji all the time to mean well, everything's fucked.
Yeah.
But I'm trying my best.
I just don't understand why he put that after beautiful, very radiant. It's very strange.
It could have been an accident.
It could have been an accident. I could be looking too far into this. But
just think you've had a couple drinks. All emojis is looking this weird. It does, but it comes across as weird. But if you think about it, if you had a couple drinks,
and dudes aren't good with emojis. I'm just gonna say it.
What's wrong with y'all? It's not hard.
I speak an emoji.
You know what? I'm gonna put this thing in reverse because you don't want me to go down that road.
Hieroglyphics.
Yeah. Continue.
Grace's friends had mentioned that the man that she met on Tinder, his name was Jesse. So the police actually got a hold of this Jesse that had commented on her photo via social media and found out his full name and his address. And when police show up to his address to bring him in for questioning, the CCTV footage catches him outside of the building. He's walking up to the building. He notices the police there in the foyer area, and he turns around and walks the fuck away. And police are the person at the front desk is oh, that's him right there. Police have to run after him and grab him and take him into questioning. Like, this is a huge red flag, first off. I don't know if they saw the CCTV footage until later about him, like, seeing the police. But huge red flag right there.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, so that was a little weird. They could have chalked it up as something, you know, innocent at that point. But he's wearing a 3-piece suit with a little handkerchief in his pocket and little fancy shoes. And this is not normal in New Zealand. This is actually something very strange for them. They're like, why are you dressed like this? He tried to play it off like he had just gotten back from work and said that he worked at this fancy place and made hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Not true. But, yeah, he comes across as a very respectful, very well-spoken, very matter-of-fact type person. He tells them that he matched with Grace on Tinder on Friday and met up with her on Saturday. He even says that he took her to Skycity because he knows that the public place has cameras, and just in case he's catfished, he feels that he is safe with all of this surveillance. It just kind of, it's weird that he is worried about his safety from catfishing.
Yeah.
It's strange. And he has to describe what catfishing is to the investigator, and he's like, okay, so you feel safer now? That's weird. Just usually, honestly, because I hate to be like, boys experience this and girls experience this, but most of the time, if a dude is getting catfished online, it's usually because, you know, the girl is, you know, wearing a lot of makeup and taking selfies from a certain angle, so she doesn't look the same in real life. That's usually what they call catfishing, but
stupid.
You know. But the cool thing is that Skycity has these like state-of-the-art 360 cameras. So like I said, they can literally watch the two of them walk throughout the entire building and watch them go on their date. And it's so eerie because as he gives the description of his date and his experience with Grace, it's literally like he's narrating the footage to you. He's literally like step by step tells you exactly what they did. It's, I don't know, maybe because I know how this ends, but it seems really creepy. I don't know if I could give exact details like that about my previous day.
I definitely could
It's
not.
like it's almost bullet pointed in his mind, like, you know. So he says that he gave her a hug, like we saw on the CCTV. They go up, they grab a drink at a burger bar, they get to talking, and then they go down to a Mexican restaurant for margaritas. CCTV footage of all of this shows Grace is having a wonderful time. She's smiling and laughing. On the restaurant patio, they are kissing each other every chance they get. They're like full on making out. And at one point, you see him go to leave to go to the restroom, and Grace grabs her phone and starts typing. She's texting her friend. She's like, oh my God, I love this guy. This guy is so cool.
Cute. Yeah.
And that's when she sends that last text message that is like, I'll tell you in the morning. And then he gets back from the bathroom, and this is around 8:20 p.m. CCTV footage catches another red flag. Jesse gets back from the bathroom, sits at the table. Grace leaves to go to the restroom. She leaves her handbag behind. He goes through her handbag. He picks up her purse off the table and shuffles through it. It's very it's very hard to see what he's doing in her handbag if he takes anything out. I don't think so, but it's almost like he's like looking for cash or something. But he basically goes through the contents of her purse and puts it in her seat instead of on the table. It's just very strange.
That is strange.
I don't like that.
Don't touch my shit.
No. And someone who was talking about this case was like, I wouldn't even go through my wife's purse. That's weird.
Nobody touches my shit.
That's weird. Unless I ask you to, but that's still weird.
Yeah, Maris would never.
No. So after drinks and dinner and a little making out, the two head out of the building, and it's all caught on CCTV at this time. Or that's all that they have of CCTV. So all they have of CCTV at this point in the interrogation is Skycity.
Right.
So the detective asked Jesse, like, what they did after that. And he says the two went their separate ways, that they walked down the street and there's an intersection where she was to go one way and to her hostel, and then he was going to go a different way. He said that they walked together until that intersection, that he gave her a hug and a kiss on the cheek and said goodbye and left. He said the last thing they said to each other was that they'd meet up the next day. He said that she walked in the direction of the hostel, and he went to another bar in the city, got super drunk, ended up sleeping in late that next day, and told them that he woke up at around 9 or 10 a.m. So then they asked him for a DNA sample, and he said, absolutely. He said, quote, "I know I haven't done anything wrong, so I'm happy to do it."
Okay.
So they take a break for him to go do the DNA sample, and during this break, investigators get CCTV footage that finds a flaw in Jesse's timeline.
Oh, what a surprise.
So he gets back and they show him this footage that they found of Jesse Kempson entering the elevator of his hotel at 8 a.m. Sunday morning. Not 9 or 10 like he said that he woke up. And he said that he woke up drunk as hell. So that means if he woke up drunk as hell at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, gathered himself, and was able to get himself into the elevator, that would have at least been by 10:30, 11, right? Mm-hmm. Not 8 a.m. And this footage shows him very clean, very put together, very sober looking. I know it's hard to tell how sober somebody is, but you can kind of tell.
Yeah. I mean, I know what drunk people look like.
You could tell he was drunk in the CCTV footage from the night before, where he's stumbling around looking for his key in his pocket. So the footage shows him exiting the hotel. He goes to a store close by and goes shopping for a luggage bag.
That's weird.
They bring Jesse back into the interrogation room for more questioning and present him with this footage. And basically he's like, yeah, I mean, that's me. He's like, I probably just got the time wrong. And they bring up the suitcase. They just bring up that he's shopping for a suitcase. They don't really say much about the suitcase.
Right. They're letting him hang himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he says, quote, "If you're assuming I'm using that suitcase for something, I've got that suitcase in my room." Okay. Literally all they said was that he went shopping. Yeah. So at this point, it was a little odd because he is very
defensive.
adamant. Yeah. And kept detouring comments about the suitcase. Now, there's this show that I watched. I watched so many documentaries on this episode, but there was a show on Amazon Prime that I watched called Faking It, and it discussed the body language and speech analysis that experts like review cases and kind of pinpoint like where killers are lying and stuff. And I know this is all pseudoscience, but in these interrogations, it's very interesting to see what their take is on some of the things that he does. And I really do think that him kind of reiterating this shit about the suitcase and like, oh yeah, I have the suitcase back at my hotel room, I'll show it to you. Like, that really made him stand out. So police check Jesse's room. They find the empty suitcase, but without any actual evidence of a crime, they had to release Jesse and gather more evidence. They continued to scour for more CCTV footage from around the block, like streets and different shops and stuff like that, to show any signs of Grace or Jesse's movements that night or the following day. And they discover footage from the street where Jesse said he had last seen Grace at that intersection. It shows them pause, and instead of Grace heading to the hostel, it looks like they're trying to discuss if she's going to go to the hostel or not. Right. And instead, Grace heads back to the hotel room with Jesse. Yeah. From there, they find footage that showed Jesse walking in with Grace with his arm around her. She's smiling really, really big. She's really happy, and she's having a really great time. They get on the elevator at around 9:40 p.m., and the footage of her getting off the elevator at 9:41 p.m. is the last known camera footage of Grace. After that, she essentially vanishes. Meanwhile, Grace's father flew down from England to give a press conference, and you could tell by his voice how shaken up he was. He wipes away tears as he describes Grace as a lovely, outgoing, fun-loving, family-oriented daughter, and you can tell his heart is in excruciating pain as he updates the media on Grace's character and movements leading up to her disappearance. And then the lead detective, Scott Beard, who's sitting right next to her father, who is also a father and completely heartbroken for Grace's dad. He vows to do everything in his power to get this man's daughter home to him. He made a statement saying that they were continuing to pore over CCTV footage and, quote unquote, so far, it appears that her last known sighting was at 9:41 p.m. on Saturday, December the 1st at City Life Hotel with a male companion, and he has been spoken to. Now, I think there's probably something to do with New Zealand law, but the suspect's identity is never released to the public after the conviction. So a lot of like the news reports that, you know, when the CCTV footage leaked, they had to blur out his face. Mm-hmm. So a lot of this, his face is blurred out, his name is blurred out. I find that interesting that they have to keep his identity.
I think it's privacy laws.
It is yeah. It makes me feel for the people that live in that city, seeing all of these news reports and headlines and everything like that, knowing their safety is at risk.
Yeah, there's a killer out there, obviously.
It's just terrifying to me.
Yeah, it is scary.
Absolutely terrifying. The investigative team continued to search for more evidence, and they uncover even more CCTV footage from the day after Grace went missing. After Jesse is seen going shopping for a large suitcase around 8 a.m., he brings the suitcase back to his hotel, and then he goes out again. This time to the store to buy bleach, cleaning gloves, and some sponges and some other cleaning supplies. He's even seen on footage inside of a taxi looking extremely distraught, like wiping his face, constantly covering his mouth in worry. And the taxi dropped him off at a car rental company where Jesse rented a car for 24 hours. Then he drives back to the hotel room and leaves again around 3 p.m. This time it's to go on another date. Jesse is a serial Tinder dater. Like, he is literally one after the other, constantly dating people on Tinder.
Ew.
I wish there was like a way to
know that.
Yeah. To see like a track record or something. I don't know. So CCTV footage caught their date as well. The woman later came forward to talk about her experience with him. She said that he was really intense but calm. He tells her about how his friends are cops and how there might be a serial killer loose in Auckland, and how his friends, the cops, really have their hands full with all of this missing women in the area. He then tells her that how he knows this guy that had really rough sex with his girlfriend and ended up accidentally killing her. And he said, quote, "It's crazy how a guy can make one wrong move and end up in jail for the rest of his life." That fucking creeped her out.
Yeah, that's like a sea of red flags.
It's terrifying. So yeah, she ended up like just kind of like appeasing him the rest of the date. And then when they're leaving, you can even see, because she doesn't even like walk away with him. The CCTV footage is right, like the camera's right there. And it shows them kind of like, okay, bye. She walks in the opposite direction of him. He is actually walking towards her parked car. He just doesn't know it. She walked around the entire city block to get back to her car.
Oh my God, I would too. That's exactly what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
I've done shit like that. It's creepy.
I know. I was like, oh girl, I know that move. So after that date, Jesse went back to the hotel room, this time with an industrial rug cleaner, like a rug doctor, a carpet cleaner, that he had rented. He told the hospital staff that he spilled red wine and was just cleaning it up so no one else had to. He's even seen on camera in the elevator with the carpet cleaner holding a few spray bottles, and a woman runs up to catch a lift up. And to me, this is so eerie because this very innocent bystander, this woman that comes on the elevator, is standing next to someone in active cleaning mode.
Yeah, it's so scary.
And she has no idea.
Ooh, Lord.
Luckily, nothing happens. You know, he gets off on her stop
Yeah.
and she keeps going. But it's just, it makes my skin crawl. So he only rented the carpet cleaner for an hour. After he was done with that, he is seen wheeling up a hotel luggage cart up to his room. And then he emerges again with the luggage cart, and it is stacked with 2 large suitcases.
Oh, no.
And from the footage, you can tell by the way he's struggling, they're heavy.
Yeah.
And he's tall and strong.
Human bodies are really heavy.
Yeah. So at this point, investigators believe they have enough evidence to bring him in for more questioning and possibly get a search of his residence. Jesse comes up and sits down with an officer and basically starts out by talking about 50 Shades of Grey. At this point, this is his second interview. They literally just ask him, like, hey, will you come in for questioning? The second he comes in, he just decides that he's caught. So he starts bringing up 50 Shades of Grey, and he tells the investigator that when they got back to his hotel room, he starts talking that Grace started talking about this book. He puts it all on Grace.
Of course.
And he says that Grace brings up this. He says it's a movie. It's a book first.
Is it a book? Is it? It barely qualifies as a book, but continue.
I never read or watched.
I'll give you a quote from it at the end of this
want
episode.
it.
Oh, you're getting
I don't
it.
want it. So 50 Shades, he brings up 50 Shades of Grey and how she wants him to do certain things from the book. And trigger warning, he said that they started doing more violent sex and moved to the floor and kept going. He says everything like very verbatim, as if it's rehearsed, as if he's like he'll like say it almost as if he's waiting for them to write down what he's saying. He says it a sentence at a time, almost as if it's practiced. I don't know. It's very strange. So he then said that they took photos of each other naked, and then they kept going. And then she told him to hold her arms tighter, and then she told him to hold her throat. And then they finished having sex, and he went into the shower to get clean. And he said that he fell asleep in the shower. He said that whenever he woke up the next day, he woke up to see that she was lying on the floor. He said, quote, I saw that she had blood coming out of her nose. I screamed. I yelled down to her and tried to move her to see if she was awake. He said that he couldn't hear her breathing and he panicked. He said that he dialed 111, but didn't press call because he was scared no one would believe him.
You're right. No one will.
Because it's bullshit.
Yeah, it's bullshit.
Because he's a fucking liar.
What does it even mean? Like, you would know. To strangle someone to death takes 4 to 7 minutes. There was no way you couldn't know.
Thank you.
And it is a lot different than choking your partner during sex, so I don't want to hear it.
And in order to kill them, you have to go long past the time that the body just collapses.
Yes.
Because you pass out way before you die.
That is correct. That's why it takes 4 to 7 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, I hate him.
It's violent and awful.
Yes. Yes. And that is what everybody in the courtroom was trying to get across. They were able to get a hold of Jesse's phone records, and his Google searches from around this time are pretty fucked up.
I would imagine so, yeah.
It's disgusting, and I don't feel comfortable speaking it out loud, but I'm going to.
Go ahead.
Try not to.
It's all right. You got it.
They were able to gauge, based on the evidence, that Grace died around 1:30 a.m. on her birthday. And after that, Jesse was looking up some really rough, hardcore porn websites and had taken photos of Grace naked post-mortem.
Jesus fucking Christ.
So those photos that he jokingly talked about...
That was after she was dead, not before.
See what I'm saying? Like, the way that he gives his confession is like as if he has a checklist of all the things that they will find. All of the evidence.
And so he's trying to explain it away.
So he's trying to explain it one by one as if it's a checklist. It's very strange to me.
Very gross.
It is. And then he started Googling, quote, hottest fire, quote, does New Zealand have flesh-eating birds? He looked up what rigor mortis was. And then he looked up the Waitakere Ranges, which are a mountainous area of wilderness outside of Auckland. Jesse told the investigator that he got up early around 5 a.m. the next day after he put Grace's body in the suitcase and rented a car. CCTV footage later confirmed him wheeling the suitcase out of his hotel into the rental car and leaving around 6:50 a.m. He then went to a store to pick up a shovel, and footage confirmed that. And then they don't see his car on any camera anywhere in Auckland until 4 hours later, when he's seen at a car wash spraying down the mats and cleaning the inside of the rental car inside the trunk, spraying it the fuck down, spraying down the shovel, which he later just like threw away somewhere, spraying down the outside of the car. And when he's spraying down the outside of the car, it's just mud coming off of it. You can see it in the footage. So he's gone
somewhere really muddy. Yeah.
Jesse told investigators after buying the shovel, he drove out to the Waitakere Ranges. When he finds an area he can pull over, he does. He then climbs into the bush with the suitcase and a shovel, dug a hole, and buried it. Luckily, this is one of those like amazing moments in an investigation, because when he said the words Waitakere Ranges, they had already had search teams in the Waitakere Ranges. They were literally... so Grace has only been missing for 6 days at this point. They were literally minutes away from that spot. 2 minutes away from that spot.
That's amazing.
Fucking amazing. The detectives said that they would have found Grace's body, whether Jesse would have confessed or not.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It just made it a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
2 minutes quicker. Wow. I'm so proud of this detective team. And they have a really big heart, by the way. Like, all of the people on this investigation, just, you can tell their heart and soul is in it. And it was beautiful to watch. Because it's just so devastating. So it took a while to get her out of the ground, because they basically had to carefully grid the area and extract layers of dirt, layer at a time, processing the scene a little bit at a time, so that way they didn't miss any potential crucial evidence. That's how much care and attention that they gave Grace. When they finally got to the suitcase and got it out of the ground, an autopsy was conducted, and a medical examiner found that Grace Millane had been strangled to death. There was bruising around her neck, as well as more bruising around her body, over a dozen bruises on her body, on her upper arms, left clavicle and collarbone, and the front and back of her left shoulder, consistent with being tied up with restraints, as well as aggressive force. It was determined that 9 of the bruises occurred around the time she died.
Oh, God.
Yeah. The city of Auckland mourned for the loss of Grace. She had already made so many friends on her journey all across New Zealand and throughout tons of other parts of the world. People held vigils for Grace with thousands and thousands of bouquets of flowers and candles, just pouring out cries and mourns for her. The Prime Minister of New Zealand addressed Grace's family in a press conference by saying, quote, "On behalf of New Zealand, I would like to apologize to Grace's family. Your daughter should have been safe here. She wasn't, and I am sorry for that. If there is anything that we can do to assist, we are here to help you with it." Can you imagine anyone in the United States government ever doing anything kind like that?
You get a tweet that says thoughts and prayers.
Maybe.
If you're lucky.
Maybe.
If you're a school full of kids.
If you're a governor wanting to get a vote.
That's right.
Disgusting.
Gross.
So her body was flown to Essex so that they could have a proper funeral. Hundreds and hundreds of people attended to show their love and condolences for Grace Millane. Jesse was arrested and charged with murder of Grace, although he still denied actually intentionally killing her. Police started to build their case against Jesse in preparation for the trial and continued to pore over CCTV footage to see what Jesse's movements were the past week. They found video that showed Jesse on December 3rd buying an additional suitcase to use as a decoy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He thought he was so fucking smart.
Right, and that's, you know what I mean? Like, so he bought this decoy, and that's why, like, it was like... That was his intention, and that's why he had to get it out. He looked at all
the evidence. Was like, how can I explain it away? And if I can't, how can I fake it?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just like a kid doing something clever, and he's like, dun dun dun, look what I did. You know, it's like, I got a suitcase. It's just
stupid.
He was spotted on camera throwing a bag filled with something in the trash can. Officers on the case assume it was probably Grace's handbag and other belongings. When they went back to the hotel to search his room, they sprayed luminol, and there were huge spots of luminol. Huge. And I will post these pictures. I want you guys to look at it on our Patreon, because I'm not in the death industry. As much as I find it fascinating and interesting, I don't know how much blood someone loses. Well,
let me tell you this. Not a lot, but here's the deal. Luminol doesn't just pick up on blood. It picks up on other bodily fluids, such as semen, saliva, excretions, urine. Yes.
Okay, because when you die,
you do release your bowels and your bladder. That is correct.
Maybe that was what it was.
It's entirely possible.
Because, see, when I saw those photos of the luminol, because you can see his footprints in it, and then these huge pools, my first instinct was like, yo, did he kill other people?
No, it's likely other fluids other than
blood.
Other than blood, yes.
Okay, because that part really confused me. I really didn't know that about luminol.
Yeah, usually when you strangle someone, I mean, there can be bleeding. There definitely is.
Usually just like a little bit out the nose.
Yeah, just a little bit, because with the force that she was strangled with, usually if you strangle someone, you don't have to apply that much force. You don't.
Right.
But it breaks the hyoid bone in the neck, and that can cause bleeding, because when bones break, they bleed.
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Indeed.
Because that part really confused me, was the luminol.
Yeah, it's likely.
I was real hung up on that.
I would guess it's probably urine or some other bodily fluid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So while going through Jesse's phone and social media accounts, they found that he was a prolific Tinder user. He had numerous dates with dates after dates after dates constantly. The investigators interviewed as many of these women as possible to get an idea of how he operates. Some of these women came forward as character witnesses in court as well, one of which was suffocated by Jesse and almost died.
Damn.
Many of the women said that he was sort of like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde type personality, where one minute he'd be happy and talkative and smiling. He'd leave the room to go to the bathroom, and he'd come back angry and violent. Like a switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. They spoke with some of his family members, and many of them said that he was a liar and that he had recently had a huge falling out with his father and other family members. His grandpa, that was like the one thing he noted about him, was that he just has a lot of falling out with people. He's just falling out with people all left and right. His grandmother described him as, quote, a very confused young man, especially since his parents split up when he was a young kid. He would use his parents' divorce for the reason for him to be just a terrible person. I will never accept that. No, ever. Not once.
It's ridiculous.
Not once. Two people should not be forced to be together. I'm sorry.
No.
Sorry you got abandonment, things. Same, bro, but come on. His stepbrother said that not only was he a compulsive liar, he told New Zealand's he told the news crew, quote, Jesse lies over pointless things and continues to lie until the point where he's got no out, and basically he just breaks down and cries and runs away. He'll just lie and lie and lie, and when you catch him, he's just like, meh, and then runs away. It's just like...
Yeah, I could tell the lying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People who dated Jesse told outrageous stories about some of the lies that he told. He said that he had cancer. He said that his parents were dead. His cousin was an all-black rugby star. He's not black. He also had weird... he told these lies in a weird attempt to seduce his women. And it's it's not flattery. These aren't flattering stories. What are you doing?
They're weird.
Yeah. Some reports say that while he was away in Sydney, because he left to go live in Sydney for a little bit, they say that he had a relationship with someone where he fathered a child. Even his family members say this. Many reports say this, but a woman and child have never come forward. But then again, I wouldn't either.
Oh, I'd keep my mouth right shut.
Right. But allegedly, he had a child over there and then ended up running away from the child and mother and moving back to Auckland so that way he didn't have to be a dad. class act. So roommate Millie Mason met Jesse Kempson in 2016 when her and her other roommate were looking for someone to fill a room. He responded to their ad and moved in. She said that at first he was really charming. He had lots of interesting stories from his time in Australia, and it sounded like he was had a really fantastic life. He told her all about how his dad was a big restaurant business owner in Sydney, and he was moving to Auckland to continue the franchise. He said that he was in the market to buy a pub, and that's why he was renting, to just scope out pubs.
Oh, okay.
One day, he told his roommate that he actually found a pub to buy, and he was in the process of buying it. And whenever he told her the name, she was she didn't say it out loud, but she was like, I know the owners. That's my family. They're not selling the restaurant. You're stupid.
Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah, I know them.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, you're going to buy that? Uh-huh. So she shows up at that restaurant.
That's exciting.
And he's working behind the bar.
Oh.
And he takes one look at her. He runs out of the building and is never seen again.
That's really good.
It's so stupid.
No, that's really funny,
It's
actually.
really stupid. So, yeah, he ended up continuing living at that house for a short amount of time after this, which I don't see why he showed his face to her ever again. But he never went back to the restaurant, which I love that.
Run away.
Yeah. So he continued living there. And one night, all of the roommates had left except for one of the women. She was there all alone, and he came in drunk and angry. And this woman ended up getting so scared of him at this time that she locked herself in her room and slept with a knife just in case.
My God.
Now, after this, the roommates did not feel safe with him whatsoever.
No.
And eventually he told them that his mom died in Australia and he had to leave right away to go deal with her funeral and everything. And he never came back. He definitely didn't go to Australia, and he never paid his last month's rent. And come to find out, obviously, his mother is alive and well. And yeah, he just moved somewhere else in Auckland. When news hit of Jesse Kempson being arrested for murder, 2 sexual assault victims came forward, and there were 2 separate additional cases opened about Jesse. So instead of combining the 2 separate sexual assault cases plus the murder charges, these are 3 separate court cases, and they cannot bleed into each other, meaning that in the murder case, they cannot bring up the sexual assaults.
Yeah, but I mean,
It sucks.
To me, it's pertinent because it shows patterns of behavior.
Yes.
However, I get
they're not convicted.
I want to say this real quick before we move on. In cases where we all feel really frustrated, especially time served isn't very much.
Yeah.
Y'all, the burden of proof is really important to understand because we can just accuse people all day long, but without proving it. So sometimes prosecutors have to take lesser charges because they can prove those.
Right.
So I get our frustration with our justice system, but I mean,
But until they're proven, you can't use it in the case. And
That's
I understand that.
Makes sense to me.
It does.
We can't just willy-nilly start throwing accusations like spaghetti at the wall. Even though, of course, we want to believe the victim and all that stuff. When we're talking about a legal case, we have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And I know New Zealand has a similar legal structure that we do.
Absolutely.
Because I looked it up while you were talking.
You're really good at that.
Yes.
So one of the cases for sexual assault was against an ex-girlfriend. The courts called her Miss K. She spoke up about their violent relationship. Allegedly, he terrorized her for months, holding her at knife point and making her do sexual things that she did not want to do. He also brainwashed her into thinking that the CIA, or the equivalent of, had hired him to kill her. I don't know. He had psychologically abused her a lot as well.
That's sad.
It was really,
but
really
not
devastating.
a surprise.
She literally just ran out of the house. When she was able to get free, she literally
Thank
just
God.
ran out. Yeah.
It probably saved her.
It did. No, it absolutely did.
And I wonder if he hadn't killed other people before.
I really wonder this.
Because of the statement that he made. One of the lies that he told about a serial killer on
That's the one I'm saying.
And I think he's killed other people.
It's that feeling
That's
in my
my
gut.
speculation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really do have a gut feeling.
And notice a lot of people's knee-jerk reaction to him is like, danger. It's like our animal brain trying to be like, oh, there's a predator in the room.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and that's what brings up that luminol. I just wonder.
I doubt it in that case because I just do.
Yeah.
And it can also be stains from previous things. But I mean, his footprints were in it. I'm going to guess it was urine.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah. 8 months prior to Grace's murder, Jesse had lured another Tinder date back to his place and sexually assaulted her after she refused his advancements. He yelled at her for how much he had, quote unquote, treated her like a princess and paid for everything. So afterwards, like, she owed it to him. No. And afterwards, after he assaulted her, he scared her into keeping quiet. He, threatened her or whatever, and she was absolutely terrified. Like,
yeah,
lived in horror for 8 months until he was arrested. So, yeah, that's why as soon as he was arrested, she came forward. So they tried him separately for each charge, and he defiantly pled not guilty for all of them. Jesse Kempson pled not guilty for murder in the High Court of Auckland for Grace's trial. The trial was absolutely heartbreaking and disgusting for Grace's family to have to witness. Jesse Kempson stood by his quote-unquote rough sex plea, completely blaming Grace for wanting it and asking for it. Her parents had to hear all about what he did to her body afterwards, and the photos that he took of her and how he tied her up, and once he knew she was dead, stuffed their daughter's body in a suitcase specifically bought for her.
Oh, I can't imagine. It sounds like hell on earth to me. I can't, as a mother, imagine anything like that.
Oh, and her mother is an amazing woman, and she does not want any other woman to have to go through this. She is fighting tooth and nail.
Good.
That nobody else has to go through
I'm glad
this.
that gave her a purpose after something that would probably kill me.
I'll tell you in a second, but oh my God, yes. Yeah, it was just unimaginably cruel. And to add salt to the wound, discussions of this case were all over social media. People's opinions on Grace and her photos synonymous with rough sex plea.
Yuck.
The incels going off in the comment sections. And people saying that Jesse was innocent and that she was, it was disgusting. What social media did with Grace in this case was disgusting. Absolutely vile.
Foul.
Mm-hmm. The trial lasted about 3 weeks, during which, after hearing all of the evidence from the witness statements and Jesse's plea of it was an accident and I panicked, the judge looked at him and said, quote, "Miss Millane's lifeless body was with you in that room when you searched for and accessed 4 pornographic sites. These were not the actions of a man in panic. Far from it. Your actions reveal a complete disregard for your victim." It took about an hour for the jury to find Jesse Kempson guilty of murder. He was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum of 17 years. When he was tried for the other 2 sexual assault cases, he chose to be tried by a judge instead of a jury. And when the judge found him guilty of all charges, Jesse threw himself to his feet and yelled, quote, "You have no reason to convict me. You're full of shit, mate." And I hate him. I hate him so much.
What a bag of crap.
This conviction added 11 years to his sentence congruently.
Good.
So that's good. After his conviction, England and Wales changed their laws and rough sex defense was banned.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Grace's family provided a statement for a documentary that I watched called The Murder of Grace Millane. It is linked below. It's a great documentary. You should watch it. But at the end of the documentary, they released a statement, and I just wanted to read it. They say, quote, "Grace was a kind and fun-loving, adventurous daughter, sister, cousin, a friend. with her whole life ahead of her. She was enjoying the first of what would have been a lifetime of adventures before her life was cruelly and brutally cut short. Her sense of fun, adventure, her love of travel and exploring, along with her ability to light up every room that she walked into, with her generosity of spirit, are memories her family cherish, and how we will remember her. We are so pleased that the government are stopping rough sex from being used as a defense. It needs to be called what it really is, and that is murder. It felt like Grace was on trial, yet unable to defend herself. Hopefully no other family will have to go through this, and men will stop using this as an excuse to kill women, knowing they can get a lesser sentence. Grace is and will always be our sunshine.
Nope, that's going to make me cry.
November of 2020, Grace's father, David Millane, died of cancer. Most people said that he died of a broken heart and that Jesse Kempson killed him.
Yeah.
It just took a couple years.
Yeah, for sure.
Her mother, Jillian, survives them both. She started...
God bless her.
Oh, she is a strong woman, girl.
I don't know how I'd cope with losing my husband and my baby. I just don't think I could.
Well, and she had breast cancer before Grace died, like years before.
Oh, my God.
She had breast cancer and attributes her survival of breast cancer to Grace, because Grace was by her side.
God damn.
So when her father had cancer and Grace wasn't there...
It just killed it. Yeah.
Her mother started the Love Grace campaign, a nonprofit company that fills handbags with items for victims of domestic violence. Jillian Millane said she handed out over 10,000 handbags, which equates to 10,000 smiles. She is such a beautiful mother. Oh, I don't know why that got me. It just, because we don't have mothers.
We don't have mamas.
Jillian also raised 30,000 euros for a charity by climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Africa.
Oh, fuck.
At the top, she placed a stone with Grace's name engraved in it. She said that by leaving the stone there, that meant Grace was still traveling around the world. She also placed a stone with David's name engraved on it next to Grace's stone so they could enjoy the view together.
Oh, come on now, you're hurting me.
She worked through the grief of losing her daughter and her husband by training for this expedition. She said that it really helped her push herself through the grieving process so that way she can make it to the top of the mountain. She said, quote, "It's horrible living without your loved ones. I want them back. I want them both back. But I can't have that. It's just another journey that you have to go on." And then she goes on to say, "Life hasn't been that particularly kind to me in the last 4 years, that's for sure, for any of my family. But we're all right. We will get to where we need to be or wherever we think that place is." And everywhere she goes, she has Grace's name engraved on stones and leaves them so she can travel the world.
That's pitiful.
She's working with other campaigns against violence and doing everything she can to keep others safe. She knows Grace and David would be proud of her. She says, quote, "They would also have made a joke about saying Mom's definitely going through a midlife crisis, but they would have definitely been proud." And I'm just abundantly proud of her as well. So I'm going to leave a link for the Love Grace campaign. Definitely donate if you can. Helping this mama save lives. Literally save lives.
Oh, it was... I can't comprehend the strength of somebody like that, but she has my admiration.
Really, though.
And all my sympathy.
I would love a fraction of a % of the strength that she has.
And don't you forget, and I'm telling you now on the podcast, to send me links to both the documentary and that foundation, because I'll be posting that tonight.
Yes,
all right.
Absolutely.
I'm moving on to business time, or else I'm just going to cry.
I know.
Okay?
I know.
First of all, as far as donating is concerned, I have a little list of names. On Facebook, kind of once a week, I ask people who needs help.
I love this. Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a big fan of, like, we all can feel so helpless in this world. And it started because I was on Facebook and I saw a lot of people feeling really ashamed having to ask for help. like they're just apologizing profusely, and you shouldn't feel shame.
So many people are going through just horrendous pain.
Just such a hard time. And so the little good is what I talk about. Like, I have a friend, his name's Rogan, and he used to be a screenwriter. Like, he's like wrote a movie. That's really cool. But he's fallen on really hard times, is now homeless, is very ill, physically ill, and is on a bicycle trying to pedal 1,000 miles to get to a place that he can have a home. Honey. And I'm so broke right now because I just replaced my tires, and it just made me feel really bad. So I collected some money for him. That made me feel better, but he needs more. I have a single mom who is struggling right now. She just wants to give her daughter a good birthday, and her daughter's been through some health things. So I have a whole list. I have a cancer survivor. She is expecting her first baby.
Oh, honey.
And she's very young. She's just like early 20s. And so I have a whole list of people that could use a little love.
Right.
And we could do a little good. Even if it's $5, send them $5.
Even if it's a box of hand-me-downs.
Yes, I have the girl who's expecting. I have her Amazon registry. So if you would like to buy her some baby needs, she doesn't have anything. And I can't imagine bringing a child in the world with nothing. It's so scary.
It is scary.
It is scary. And she deserves to have those cute, nice things for her baby. And so if you can help out, that would be great. Let's try and do the little good. And if you can't help, share it around. Maybe someone you know can.
Right.
Because all we got is each other, y'all. Our government doesn't give no shit about us.
Right.
But let's give a shit about each other. So I'm going to quit crying and I'm going to move on.
I'll share it. We'll share that list on our cruelty Facebook as well.
Yes, so you can find it. And I'm going to do this once a week, and it's just doing the little good. I like to ask who needs help.
Right.
And we're just going to...
Even just talking about who needs help will allow some networking if you can't give or donate.
Yes, exactly.
You know.
And I want us all to try this on our social media.
Yes.
You just ask, because you don't know who your friends could need help. And maybe you can help them. It's not always about money either.
Right.
So
if you have the spoons... Just type out that very simple sentence.
I'll make a little template so you can just, you can copy paste. Let's do the little good and ask who we can help around us. And so on to Patreon. Y'all, I want 100 patrons because we're just so close. So here's 100. The deal. We're at 99, which is amazing. I can't, I'll cry again.
We passed 1,000 followers on Instagram.
Girl. Oh no. Okay.
I know.
No, I'm not, no more crying.
Okay.
If you become our 100th patron, I'm going to give you a present, okay?
Prezzies.
You can have a voice chat with me and Willow, and Maris will paint you a star chart.
Yes.
Meaning, what I mean by that, it's an illustrated map of the stars on the day either you were born, your anniversary, just any special day, and I will mail it to you. And this is for tiers 5 and up. So make my day. And I'll try and make your day back. Yeah. I'm still having a contest too. I'll do a drawing at the end of this month for a free Patreon membership. I mean, I'm giving you $5. Like I've said before, if you want to buy ice cream, knock yourself out. Get on our Discord and post a picture of like a pet, something you made for dinner, your garden. I don't care. Some art you did, doesn't matter. A funny meme.
You can join our Patreon for a month and then just binge all of the Patreon episodes.
And then fuck off.
Yeah,
I understand. Yeah. I am not offended. We can't always afford shit.
I don't have anything that I pay $5 a month for, so because I can't. But yeah, I'm just so grateful for our patrons. Our patrons have been so good to us. I still can't believe we're almost at 100.
I can't. I'm just fucking amazed.
I know that by this time next year we'll be laughing at that number, but
and you know what?
We're still going to be just as squirrely and humble because
I don't know how else to be. I will tell you this right now, and I just want you to know, because a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't believe you responded to me" when they message me.
Right,
girl, I am not famous. Live in Arkansas. Nobody knows who I am. So don't feel bad if you want to reach out. Please, I put my email as a contact in almost every episode, so that if you need some help, like getting on Discord, you have something you want to tell me, you can, including tell me to fuck myself. That's fine. Sometimes
if you have anything nice to say about the podcast, we could really use some 5-star reviews.
Yes,
that would be really awesome. We've had a couple like 1 stars that have just brought our rating down.
Yeah,
and it's been like nitpicky stuff. Didn't really have anything to do with the podcast, but
That's true. Because, like, not everybody's going to like our style, and that's totally fine. But I reserve, like, negative reviews for something that's egregiously terrible.
if you were like racist or homophobic or said
evil.
something mean
Or
and
just I'm
terrible,
braying like a donkey or something. And that's not,
I just,
I don't care. Here's the deal. I don't really care about stuff like that too much because all the positives are worth it. And I have pretty thick skin.
I'm learning not to get my feelings hurt. But the thing is that it lowers our rating, which lowers
Or visibility. Yeah.
So
I have to give a little bit of a
if
shit
you
about it.
haven't and have the time, a good review would be very nice.
If you do have criticism, please email me.
Please.
I would like to address it and learn.
I would love some structural criticism if there is any. I would love that.
Yeah, we do our best. But I can always improve and always strive to do so. All right, another part of business time is, hey, I do tarot card readings.
Yeah.
And I just had to buy 2 new tires and get my dog Apiquil, which is $80 a month, so he doesn't itch himself to death and die. Yeah, so that was a lot of money.
So if you want to do it,
Say, hey, I'm running a special.
yay!
I'm running a special on tarot readings for less than I usually charge. I have almost 30 years experience. It's a very intuitive reading. I really get
really
in
good.
there.
She's
Man,
really
I
good.
read you. I read you to filth,
She
but
reads you
kindly.
like a book.
But
It's
kindly and not
ridiculous.
gently, but I'm nice about it. And Maris is doing illustrated star charts. That's all we can handle right now. We are very busy. We're gearing up for like an art show. I'm gearing up to sell my stuff in town. It's just a lot. And then this podcast, I feel like,
We're about to make a calendar together too.
yeah.
I'm really excited about that.
And then we're going to do something else after that.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
It is pretty great, but we're
I
really
like
busy.
being artists and best friends together. That's fun. Anyways, I love you guys.
Yes, I love you guys too. Sorry, my kid messaged me and it sounded like an emergency, but it wasn't. They were like, Mom, help. And I was like, oh no, baby, what is it? They're like, can I have $5? I'm just like, oh, fuck off. But yeah. And my last little bit, did I get everything? I don't even know. Yes, I got one more thing.
Oh,
And I'm very excited.
what is it?
I mean, it's somber, but I'm excited about it. So 2 cases I covered.
Yes.
Lacey Fletcher and Tara Calico. Both of them have very major updates.
Yes.
And so I am going to be doing on Patreon a special, and that's the tea. It's going to be about 30 minutes to an hour, about 45 minutes, where I'm going to give you guys the updates on both. And man, with the Tara Calico one, I dug so deep.
I'm proud of you.
I dug so deep into this research. I found some pretty earth-shattering shit. I did. And so, if
I'm
you
glad I was
join,
right, though.
we might have been right. So if you want to join our Patreon for $1, you can listen to those.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm really excited to be able to update these cases, even if the outcomes aren't what I wanted.
At least there's closure.
Because I will tell you, with the Tara Calico case in particular, that case has haunted me since I heard about it like 20 years ago.
Since I saw that photo.
Yes, and it just really broke my heart, and it just the mystery of it, the idea that someone can just vanish into thin fucking air. But that it isn't thin fucking air. And there's always an answer. And so it's just, I am chuffed, as the Brits would say. Okay.
Full circle.
2 last things. New Zealand, I got to ask you a question. So if you're a Kiwi, which is a very cute name for y'all, by the way.
Do they call themselves that?
I don't know if they do, but other people do. And I think it's cute as shit. If it's offensive, I am sorry, punch me. I don't think so, though. It's a delicious fruit and bird.
You eat the bird?
You don't eat the bird.
God,
it's a delicious
I was
fruit,
upset.
And a bird.
Okay.
And a bird.
I was like, don't you dare. Are they endangered?
Oh, God, you're endangered. Here's my question to Kiwis out there. Do y'all hate the Aussies? Is this like a fight?
I've always wondered this.
Or is this just what I learned from Flight of the Conchords and it is incorrect? Because that's a silly show, so I'm not sure.
I love that show.
Additionally,
It's the only part of New Zealand that I know is Flight of the Conchords. Oh, and our listener, Holly. She's amazing.
she is. Shout out, Holly. Can you answer my question? Please?
Do you? Because we have a lot of friends in Australia and then now, a couple in New Zealand. I just want to know.
And as a parting goodbye to you and a treat, I'm going to read my favorite line from 50 Shades of Grey by E.L. James.
I hate you. Good Lord.
Anastasia says, Does this mean you're going to make love to me? No, Anastasia, it doesn't. Firstly, I don't make love. I fuck hard. Oh, that's the worst thing ever written. It's the worst.
Hard.
If any man said to me, fuck hard, I'd be like, sure you do. Sure. And I'm going to, what? You're going to inspire me to call you daddy, too, I assume. And you're going to spank my butt hard. No, you're not. Never. Nope. Any man that says that, it's going to be the most spastic, tepid sex you've ever had in your life. The last guy that said that to me literally fucked like a dolphin swims. So imagine that in your mind. Flipper. That's what it was.
You're terrible.
I'm no good.
No.
I'm rotten to the core. But you know what? If all you could do to support this podcast is listen, and I mean it though I'm laughing.
We're going to hell.
Sure. Spicy Daddy has saved me a seat on his lap, preferably.
That's why it's warm.
Oh, I'm a bad person. Yeah, if all you can do to support this podcast is listen, please know how much I appreciate you and your nice things that you say. And
seriously,
it just makes my whole day. And I love you guys.
Y'all have been really kind to us.
Indeed. And we'll see you next time.
Us on your social media platform of choice. Linktree/cruelty has all of the links. Check out our Patreon for exclusive episodes, merch, ad-free episodes, live ghost hunts, and much more. Please be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded weekly. Thank you so much. See you next time. Music and production by Libby.